Mr. May spent a lot of money to buy a large bottle of whiskey, and then he hands it to a homeless man on the street in exchange for the story of Billy's life. The homeless man told him Billy was the worst beggar they'd ever seen, as a homeless man but not interested in begging. Only had eyes for liquor, but never went crazy with alcohol, and does not harass women, plus his looks are not bad. Girls usually don't hate him. Once he stole a chocolate, he stole a piece of chocolate, and was sentenced to 3 months in jail. Mr. May is trying to ask the whereabouts of the beauty, but the beggar said she had already left the world. Here the clue is broken again. In order to let Billy buried in peace, Mr. May, in the name of a friend, he gave Billy a custom-made coffin at his own expense. You want it?
And you would like to...
I'd like to make it available for someone else.
Family member.
No family.
May tidied up his office. Before he left, he put Billy's files away, and that meant his last case was over. I don't know if he was tired of the humdrum of life. I don't know if it was because he was tired of the humdrum life, or did he yearn for the excitement of Billy's life. He did what Billy did, pissed on the leader's car, and took out his belt and tied it to the window. Try to bite the belt with your teeth. What does it feel like? Suddenly a bell interrupted him. It turns out that Carrie decided, after all, to attend her father's funeral. They had arranged to meet privately to discuss the funeral. This time he changed from his usual suit. He put on a simple blue sweater for the appointment.
Well, this piece here. It really has something. I'm sure it's never been used in a funeral before, but you'll see. I mean, you'll hear when you hear it next Friday.
Listen as he elaborates every detail of the funeral. Kelly, unknowingly attracted by the gentle and serious man in front of her. She was still a little sad to say goodbye.
I was thinking next Friday after the service, maybe we could go somewhere for a cup of tea or chocolate. Just, you know, just to chat, if you have time, of course. If you...
Yes. Yes, I would like that very much.
It was the first time Mr. May had been asked out by the opposite sex. His dull life, at last. There was a flash of color, a deer in the headlights. He came to the grocery store, and carefully selected 2 cups, imagining that he could use them with Kelly in the future. But just at that moment, Mr. May was about to cross the street. A bus came at him. This gentle and kind man, to his death with a smile on his face, he left this world. On the day of the funeral, the priest was the only one present, and he was quietly lying in that cheap coffin without even a eulogy. Mr. May's body was hurriedly taken away by a hearse, and on the other side, in contrast, was Billy's funeral. After Mr. May's persistent visitation, in front of his grave, crowded with friends and family who came to pay their respect, while Mr. May himself was buried in a haphazard, in a corner where no one was looking for him. There was not even a decent tombstone. The end of the story. Those who had received Mr. May's help, the spirits of the dead, gathered together spontaneously to mourn for him. The movie is called Silent Life. Mr. May's profession was a cold one. He spent his life working with corpses. He wrote his life by collecting and burying strangers' bodies. If he hadn't insisted on visiting them one by one, Billy's friends, before he died, then this poor man who died alone, and he not insisted on visiting Billy's friends one by one, was just a fragment of a label. The alcoholic geek, the homeless man, the unfit father. But at the same time, he was also a brave soldier, a fighter for the rights of his fellow workers, a good Samaritan who stands up for charity, shadow, and light at the same time, 2 sides in one. That's the real life of an ordinary person. In the end, Mr. May has pieced together Billy, a 3-dimensional and complete face, but he was not able to escape from the accidents of life. Some people say people have to die 3 times in their lives. The first time is when your heart stops breathing and dies, physically declared dead. The second time, when you are buried and people attend your funeral. It is the social sense of ceasing to exist. And the third death is the last person in the world who remembers you, forgetting you. So the whole universe is no longer about you. For a person, physical death is not the end. Forgetting is. Mr. May is very busy with his daily work. What he is busy with, in the eyes of his leaders and most people, he was just doing nothing, but in reality, by his own power, gave those who died in the first a miserable end, a second time with dignity, and tried to slow down the speed of their oblivion. His life was a lonely one, like the dead who were not accepted by their relatives, but his kindness never changes. Although the film does not have a rocky plot, but one can feel the warmth of life, even if the last moment of life is silent. But the kind soul will never be alone.